What's up, gamers? What's up, guys? I'm back here on the channel with a video, and today I wanted to make a positive video. I want to make a video that wasn't just all negative, criticizing the game industry like I've been making the past week, just constant negativity. So I figured, let's make a video talking about 10 out of 10 video games, or at least like what the general consensus is for a lot of these games, and just like which ones I think are personally a little overrated, and maybe have some fun with it, maybe chill a little bit, have some fun. But anyways, I saw this IGN article today, or not article, it was just like a I guess it kind of was the 10 out of 10, all the 10 out of 10s that IGN has given, and it was really interesting. It made me think a lot about what do I think are 10 out of 10 video games, which ones actually like deserve it. Now to me, okay, a 10 out of 10 is, I think we should always have things that are 10 out of 10s, but to a lesser extent than like what IGN or GameSpot I guess would think, because it seems like all they do is give games either 9s or 10s. If they have big budgets and they're really popular, they're either going to give them a 9 or a 10. And I mean, it's fine, I guess. It's not like something I'm gonna hate on a brother for, but still, I think I got my controller. I'm playing Death Stranding. Sorry. I just don't think that every single game should be a 10 out of 10 if it is good. If it is great, I don't even think it should be. If it's a masterpiece, maybe. But for me, a 10 out of 10 needs to be like one of the best games ever in that genre or specific category or whatever. I only give 10s very, very rarely, but we're being positive here, so I'll go ahead and give the games that I think are 10 out of 10. So let me look here on my Google Doc. What am I feeling for 10 out of 10? Okay. So you guys are probably going to hear water. Okay, so the video games that I think are 10 out of 10s, I only really have 3 of them that I think are perfect 10s. And these video games consist of Hollow Knight. I think is the best Metroidvania ever. I don't think that a Metroidvania is going to come close to that for a long time. Best 2D game ever, really. Best 2D action game ever. Best Metroidvania, best platformer, everything that is related to Hollow Knight. I think it probably does the best. It has amazing music, great atmosphere, like pretty much everything. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10, so I think it's perfect. But yeah, Hollow Knight is one that I really think should have gotten 10s. I don't think that any of the major review sites gave it a 10 out of 10. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think IGN gave it like a 9 or something, which typical IGN, either they're gonna give it a 10 or a 9, and if they don't like it, it'll be an 8. And I think 8s are like amazing. I think a 9 is a masterpiece. I think a 10 is like that is like so goddamn good that you obsess over it, you think it's like a part of you, I guess. And that's why Hollow Knight is there. That's also why Elden Ring is there. Elden Ring, I think most people would probably agree that Elden Ring is a 10 out of 10. That's probably out of every game that has released in history, I'd say Elden Ring and Ocarina of Time are probably the 2 games where the mass majority will probably agree that they are 10 out of 10s, and that's saying a lot. Elden Ring, I think, is just like objectively the best game ever made, and I think we're really blessed to have had it. I remember when I pre-ordered it and it came out, and I mean, Cyberpunk really discouraged me from pre-ordering, but CD Projekt Red is I guess a different scenario, but FromSoft has always been one of the best game developer companies in the entire world, and I didn't think that they'd disappoint. I was praying to my $60 that I spent that they wouldn't disappoint, and they didn't. Elden Ring is the best game, objectively, in my opinion, ever made. And yeah, Shadow of the Erdtree just makes it better. I don't think Shadow of the Erdtree is a 10 though. Shadow of the Erdtree is like a 8.2 maybe, like an 8 somewhere around there. Amazing though, masterpiece expansion. And then the other one is my favorite personal game, is this Persona 5 Royal. I played the original Persona 5 as well, and the original Persona 5 is a banger, of course, masterpiece. That game would probably be in my top 10 even if it didn't have Royal attached to it, but Royal was released and it easily became my favorite game because of how much I loved Persona 5, and Persona 5 Royal is just an expanded version of it. Yeah, cleanly one of my cleanly my favorite game ever. And when I think of, you know what's funny is that people say modern gaming is dead, and sometimes I agree. I'm also fanning the flames a bit with how much shit I talk about, but like, all three of those games have came out in the last 7 years. Hollow Knight, Persona 5 Royal, and Elden Ring. My 3 favorite games, or the 3 games that I think are perfect 10 out of 10s. Now, that doesn't think I think every other game is bad. A 9 is extremely hard to achieve for me, and I feel like a lot of these game publishers that give games 10s, a 10 to them would be probably like an 8 for me, because I am that harsh with how I score. I can always find problems and shit, and even one of my favorite games I'm playing right now, Death Stranding, is still only like an 8 to me. And I don't know, I guess it's just because I'm super critical, and I like actual criticism and scoring on a scale, and I think it's just unique that all those games have came out recently. And really what I am asking for the most is a game that matches the same atmospheric density, I guess, and vibe that Persona 5 Royal gave me. Personally, when I think of a true god tier, like best game ever, I always think of Persona 5 Royal, because it has so much story, and all of the story is like amazing in my opinion. I don't think there's a single low point. A lot of people will probably tell you there is, but I don't really think there is a single point that isn't perfect in the story. I really love it. I think it's all just so fun. That whole anime vibe it has is awesome. And I think the distinct feeling I had when I first played Royal, and it was also kind of a similar feeling to when I first played the original Persona 5, but with Royal it was even better, because Royal is pretty much just Persona 5 but better in every way. And I remember just the feeling I had walking around the city and just chilling with the friends, with the boys, going through all the palaces. That's one of, like, I love it when games actually have a story that, even if it's not super well written, like Persona 5 definitely has some stinker lines, which I love that it does. Death Stranding has some bad lines. Red Dead 2 has a lot of bad lines as well. Cyberpunk has horrible lines, and I don't know why I'm using Cyberpunk like it's a good example, but most video games just have horrible lines sometimes and writing, and I think it's kind of ignorant to not acknowledge that. But I mean, the same thing also is true for movies, and I think I'm maybe way too critical, but I don't think there has been a story that I've ever consumed in my life, like regardless of anything, any boundaries, music, movies, video games, books, anything, that hasn't had a few lines that I just hated being in there or made me cringe a little bit. And I'm not gonna take that away from it, because I'm kind of different with that kind of stuff. I don't really like a whole lot of quirky, like, characters talking and making jokes and shit, unless they're actually funny, which 90% of the time they aren't. And that's just a personal preference. I would love it if games didn't have so much shitty dialogue, but it's not a big deal. There's just not a whole lot of games where the writing is actually like on par with a movie, and even now movies do not have very good writing. I'm gonna be honest. The last movie I saw with really good writing was probably the fucking Shawshank Redemption. That movie has amazing lines and writing, but even then there's some stinkers. Like, there's always going to be stuff to criticize. I don't think criticizing things as being inherently cynical and negative. Even though I am kind of a cynical, negative person, I don't think that criticizing something for having shit you don't like in it is bad. I think we should all be doing that. But, you know, there will still be those retards that are lobotomized in the comments. It'll be like judging and trying to, oh, you're too negative about everything. Like, fuck you, man. If you think that that's being too negative, then you're kind of a retard. Retard? I almost said retard. You're kind of a retard. And yeah, just always be critical, man. And never hurts to be critical. It's good for everything if you are. There's never going to be a single piece of media ever that you consume where you don't have at least one tiny thing that you wouldn't change about it. All right, like I promise. Maybe the only thing that maybe could happen with that is like an album that is like so perfect, but it's like 3 minutes long, you know? I just don't think that it works. I don't think that there will ever be a piece of media where there is something that I don't have to criticize, even if it's something as small as a single line of dialogue said, you know? And I think everyone should kind of have that opinion. I'm not saying my opinion's right. I'm just saying that I think everyone should be critical and shouldn't just glaze everything as being a masterpiece like IGN does most of the time. And yeah, I guess the ultimate thing I want to accomplish with this video is spread a little positivity. You know, my channel's been pretty fucking negative for the most part, and I want to just kind of spread some positivity with some games that I really enjoy, putting them out there. And also to kind of put into perspective, if you ever see me do a review on here, I might give a number, and that number will always change with time. There's always been things that have changed with time, numbers wise for me with like scores, but when I give an initial score, I don't want everyone to think that if I give something a 7 it means I don't like it. A 7 is still extremely good for me, and even a 6 is also good for me. A 5 is where it starts to get a little shaky, I guess, and a 4 is where it starts to get not that good. But I just don't want people to, when they watch me, and if they see a review I do in the near future, which I plan on doing, and they hear that I give something a 7 or a 6, that means I hate it. Like, that's complete opposite. And a 10, I will probably never give a 10 to something that is like new on this. If I review something new on this channel, I'm probably not going to give it a 10, just because I have so much confidence that there won't be that many 10s this year. Or I mean, okay, maybe that's a little disingenuous. I think probably I will give maybe a few 10s, but when you hear me give a 10, that is like the best ever. All right, that has to be like, I'll probably say it in a video. If I give something a 10, that means it's like one of the best games I've ever played, ever. One of the best things ever, like, that I've ever consumed or anything. And a 10 is a momentous occasion. That is like something that is so good that there won't be an equal for a long time. You know what I mean? So if I do ever have something like that is like a actual masterpiece that I love so much, I will probably give it a 9 or an 8. And honestly, I will probably give it a 9 or 8, because 10s are so fucking rare for me, because my perspective of what a 10 out of 10 is so skewed by my own like negativity, I guess. I don't know, man. I don't think that there will ever be like a 10. Maybe in the next like few years. I don't know if there will ever be a 10 again. It'll probably be a few years before there's a 10 out of 10 video game that is new that releases. The only things you'll probably ever hear me talk about being 10 out of 10s are ones that I've already talked about in this video, or albums that I've given a 10 out of 10 before that I just think are amazing, or movies or something. But it's very, very, very rare for me to watch something or play something or listen to something that I immediately think is a 10 out of 10. I usually have to sit on it for a bit, you know? And so that's why you will be very lucky if you see me, or not lucky, I'm trying to make it sound like my opinion fucking matters. it'll be very rare, I guess I'll say it like that. It'll be very rare for me to give something a 10 out of 10 in a review. And if that happens, that is the highest piece of praise I can like ever give for anything. And I think it's just immaculate, basically. I don't think there's really anything wrong with it, or if there is, it's overshadowed by how much I love it. So yeah, I just when I'm not saying that to be like Critical. I don't really like how Critical does, where he says like, I'm never gonna give a 10 or anything. If I think something is a 10 out of 10, I will definitely give it a 10 out of 10. But I'm just saying that'll be a long time. And I hope I eat my own ass here and I'm actually wrong. And you know, when Hollow Knight Silksong comes out, hopefully this year, not this year, but fuck, dude, I just want that game to come out so bad. I give it a 10, and that's one of the only 10 out of 10 video games that I review on this channel. I would love that so much. I don't want bad games, you know. I don't want shit to. I don't want to just consume shit. I don't want to have games to just be overly critical all the time. And I think that saying that giving something a 7 or an 8 is being like super critical, or that something's bad is really retarded, and I think we should stop saying that, because that's not true at all. A 7 is really good, all right? An 8 is fucking amazing, and a 10 is just not something that you should be giving out. And that's my issue with IGN and GameSpot. They give out these 9s and 10s like every single day, and I don't know, just can we stop that? Not every game is a 9 or a 10. Not every game is an 8 either, or even a 7. Honestly, there should be like actual criticism and scaling with the scores. I don't think that they score anything right at all, personally. But you know, everyone has their own opinions, I guess. I guess my opinion is my opinion. My opinion might be wrong to you, you know, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, my channel, fuck you. Yeah, so I guess that's about it, everyone. Thank you for listening to a gamer rant, a very neck-bearded, closed-off, isolated gamer rant for a little bit. I just wanted to talk about some 10 out of 10 games and the frustration I kind of have with some of these review publications giving everything a 10 out of 10. And yeah, man, I guess that's probably about it. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you have any thoughts, make sure to comment them in the comments. If you do, if you don't, you don't have to. But yeah, I guess that's it. See ya.